women should own 51%. We are 51% of the population. We should own 51% of the commercial real estate in the world. And we are so far from that number.
As women, I think especially, we often think that we have to, I don't want to say know it all, but you do. You don't have to know it all to do it. You just have to know people that know it.
Everything you're saying is what Wired is about. Knowing that you have other people around you supporting you and believing in you so that you can start believing in yourself. Welcome to the Wired Podcast, where we spotlight bold, brilliant women shaping the future of business, commercial real estate, leadership, and beyond.
I'm Kimberly Downs.
And I'm Heather Luce. We're the voices behind Wired, that's women in real estate development, and your hosts for honest, empowering conversations that go way beyond buildings.
Every other Wednesday, we sit down with women of influence, entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers to share their stories, insights, and unfiltered truth behind their success.
So whether you're building a business, growing in your career, or carving your own path, you'll find connection, mentorship, and real-world tools right here.
This is the Wired Podcast.
So, Kim, welcome to the Wired Podcast.
Thank
I'm so
you,
glad you're
Heather.
here with me. This is going to be a first episode of our new relaunch. We're very excited. We have a editor, publisher, new co-host, a lot of good things this year. So we're excited to get into it. So this first episode, we really want to do an introduction, who we are, what we're about, why we're doing this.
Yep.
And yeah, let's just jump into it. So do you want to start with where you come from? What do you do?
Sure. I'm Kimberly Downs. You know that. And I am with Guild Mortgage. I've been in the residential mortgage industry since probably about 2013. And then in 2020, I started coaching with Optimize Success. So from the very beginning, I always had a business coach. So business coaching is super important to me. I think no matter what industry you're in, and I know you and I've talked about this a lot, I think it's good to always grow, always be learning, always look for what is the next step in my career? What can I do to better myself? We can always be better at what we do. So I started that in 2020. I started coaching with Cindy Garza. She owns Optimize Success. And then in 2022, she asked me to coach with her. So I do both. I've been coaching with Optimize Success for a couple of years. And I also, of course, run my team at Guild Mortgage here in Kansas City, Missouri. Just lending money for residential real estate. So that's a little bit about me and what I do in the workforce, basically.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. We worked together in business, but we became friends very quickly when
Yes.
we met. And she's one of our trusted loan officers for our clients, but we also have a lot more in common than that too, so we can get into that. But a little bit about me. I'm Heather Luce. I am the proud broker owner of KC Local Homes. We're a residential real estate brokerage here in the Rosedale area of KCK. I've been in real estate since 2015. I started out on a team with a big traditional brokerage, I would say. And I was with a top producing team. I kind of went individual, then I started my own team. So I've kind of gone up and down that ladder. Then in 2019, we decided we wanted to break off, be independent, and kind of open our own independent firm. And we've been a locally owned, locally operated brokerage since then. So I have an operations manager. She's my staff. And then myself, I'm the operating broker. And we have a handful of agents as well. So let's get into it. So you said you've had a business coach, but you've also been a business coach. And I think we both agree, have it in common that we're forever learners in our career and in life. What has been like the key takeaway, do you think, having that in place or even helping other people in that role for you?
So I think that the very first coaching experience that I had was, of course, mortgage coaching. It was, that hardcore, like sales, like, what you do to get your team going and how you stay connected with your partners and your clients. But after doing that for about 2 years, I realized that you can coach business as much as you want to. But until you incorporate who you are as a person and work on yourself individually, it just doesn't flow. And so for me, I started coaching more on the side where it was which was Optimize Success, where we not only focused on our job and what we wanted out of our job, what was our why in our job, but it was also, who are you? And if this is a struggle for you at work, have you asked yourself why in your personal life? It was just amazing to see the way those things connected. And in a team, even in mortgage, I know in the brokerage, I watch you work with your team and lead them and encourage them. In the mortgage side, it's the exact same thing. So I have a processor and a loan officer assistant, and I have my team that helps my flow go really, really well. And I'm responsible for that. So even though, as mortgage loan officers, we work for a company, I'm in charge of my team. And so I am in charge of making sure that run well. So I need to take responsibility for that. So for me, the biggest thing was learning who they are, where they fit best, and how to guide them in that way. So learning constantly is so that I can be the best leader, not manager. Mm-hmm. Very two different things, but be able to lead them. So that's super, super important to me. And so that's kind of, where I've been with my business, is just always wanting to grow as a leader so that I can lead my team well, not just change myself, but lead there also.
Yeah. Yeah, leadership's a huge part of both of our roles. And for me, I do own the company. I'm a business owner, and you are a team leader within a company, and it's the same thing. I always say to all of my agents that work with me, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're never going to be able to take care of your clients. So same thing for me. If I'm not holding myself to a high standard and being professional and doing the work, then how could I ever ask them to do the same thing? Running a business has taught me a lot, but also becoming a broker where I'm supervising other agents and their deals on top of selling and doing my own deals. It's really taught me a lot about just the importance of leadership and kind of what that means. And really, for me, leaning into it and being authentic and leading with who I really am, not just like who you think you should be in this role, has brought me a team that I'm just so proud to be in business with them. And we really, really do life together. And I know that people always talk about the culture in their company, but we have something special here, and I will never take that for granted.
So you mentioned leadership and taking care of yourself, and I've kind of shared a little bit about what I've done on my side to try to do that. So what do you do in your industry to take care of you and to keep yourself accountable and to pick and choose, like, these are good ways to actually encourage my team, but also keep my cup filled?
Yeah, absolutely. So taking care of myself, it starts with working out and eating right, and having boundaries and actually taking breaks and taking time off. It's easy when you are in a commission-based role to never really know when to clock out, because you don't want to miss any deals or any money or any opportunities or anything. So having the boundaries, I turn my phone off. I turn on do not disturb at a certain time every night, and I don't get back on it until a certain time in the morning. And that allows me to really be present with my family and my friends and actually, again, fill my own cup so that when I come to work and I'm working with clients, I'm working with agents, like, I'm myself, but I'm also my best version of myself. Another thing I think too is I encourage them the same. If I notice that they have worked all weekend, they had open houses and showings all weekend, they come back in, they're in the office every single day, like, that's great as the owner of the company. Like, I love seeing that. That's good. It's a good hustle to have, but at the same time, when are you taking time off? When are you going on a trip? When are you, not being off and then having to do all the home role, like the parenting and the, spousing and all the expectations of us as adults, but when are you actually taking care of yourself? So just trying to, and I stay pretty involved. I'm a pretty hands-on, like, supervisor in that way, and just really trying to remind people to, yes, work hard and be good to people, but also be good to yourself too. Have some grace.
Right. So I know that we kind of talked a little bit, we met, gosh, how many years ago was that? I'm like trying to remember how long ago that was. But one of the reasons we kind of talked about our why, or being passionate about what we do and the influence that we have over people. And both of us, we had like one transaction, and it was like, oh, hey, do you want to have coffee? This is kind of what we do. It's how we build relationships.
You saved the deal. You saved the deal, and lenders don't save deals very often. And so I was already impressed, and I was like, okay, tell me more about you. Let's meet up.
But I just remember sitting there having coffee with you, and it's like, I think we need to be in tune to, like you're talking about, even your team. is being able to sit with someone and be like, okay, there's something about this person that, we connect, or I know someone who should know this person, or this person would be great in this field. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, my niece needs to meet you. She's in real estate and you guys would just hit it off. And now what does she do for you?
Yeah, she's a very, very important part of this company and my life. She's my work wife, as my real wife says. And her name's Christy, and she truly is my left hand, and she keeps this ship afloat. I always say she's the boss. We all know that. When I met Christy, we sat down, and within minutes, I was like, this is a recruiting coffee, but also I really like you. And it was a mutual connection, just like you're talking about. We just both showed up really who we were. And I knew I could help her, and she knew that she could do well in my company. And so we very quickly signed paperwork and decided to be in business together. Fast forward, she kind of started taking over admin roles and little side work for me as the owner, and quickly realized that she was probably a more important piece to the puzzle than we both kind of thought. And she has been a business owner in the past. She's been a manager in the past. Again, leadership skills just very naturally to her. She's very well respected in our company. And when I started looking for an operations manager, actually hiring on a support staff, it wasn't my idea. I did not want to hire internally. I thought that it should be somebody that wasn't one of my agents already. And so I started interviewing other people, and I had found a very good candidate who I was about to pull the trigger on. And Christy stepped up and advocated for herself. And she said, hey, I know that you originally didn't want to go this route, but I'm right here. And I think that the kind of just like the gall that it took to say that to me is like, hey, you're doing it wrong. Like, pick me, Yeah. That alone was like, I need somebody like that that's willing to look me in the face and say, hey, I want you to, consider this idea instead, because I think it would be best for what you're trying to do. And she was so right. And since April of 2024, she's been in that role as a full-time staff member. She also sells some real estate. She sells more now, I think, than she did before, which is just a funny thing. But she's huge in my business and my life because, again, we do life together, right? Mm-hmm. She knows what I'm struggling with. She can see it on my face the moment I walk in the door, or even if I'm in a text, she can read my text a certain way. So she's very integral to what I've built, but also that stems from our connection. Which again, we kind of want to talk about why we're doing this podcast, right? And that kind of leads us into it is like, it all stems from like this small, if you're really showing up as yourself, your authentic self, then the connections build and the seed is planted and it gets you to your niece is now a part of our company and we're still in business together years later. We've done numerous deals together now. And then now I've always been a part of Wired. You are getting into Wired. Right. It just all kind of, let's just talk a little bit about why we wanted to do this podcast together. Initially,
I had, I'm big on goals. I got to have that end goal. I got to see something and just kind of stay going. And this year I actually did my goals in quarters. And my goal for the end of the year was to start a podcast. And I think we were having lunch and we were talking about it. And all of a sudden I was like, this is what I want to do. And you were like, oh my gosh, yeah, this would be great. And so I thought, what better way than two women that love to not only have influence over other women, not just in our business, but just business owners. I'm very passionate about that. So I want to be able to feature people that have worked hard, that they've given everything that they have. So that was one of my biggest whys. The second was I visited Wired about a year ago. Liked it, but just never really came back. Life got crazy, work gets crazy. And then I thought, I'm going to go back. And so going back, it just was really neat. So I did buy my building that my mortgage company rents from. And so I had never done that. If it wasn't for my significant other, Devin, I would have never even thought of it. He was like, hey, your company needs a place to rent. Let's go find a commercial building for you to purchase. and they're going to pay your rent. And I was like, okay. He owns a lot of commercial real estate. So I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing. So I did
business
it.
guy, yeah.
That's right. So we did that. And here we are, 3 years later. So it was 2022. And I have not only had my company rented, but my company has come in and remodeled new space, and they have paid for that because that's just what they do. And I now have other people renting in that building along with us. So it has been a great learning curve for me. So when I went to Wired about a month ago, just listening to Cheryl talk about the way that they purchase commercial real estate and the forms that they use and going through that. And I was like, wow, there's a whole aspect of this that I don't get. I do residential every single day, all day long. And this is a whole nother piece, So that really was like, okay, here's another thing that I want to, another why for me. Let's grow in another aspect of life. So that was, another one of my big whys. And then just, all women have some type of influence.
Yeah.
And I really have wanted for years for that to be out. So I think this is a great opportunity to feature women, not even just in the Kansas City area, but all over the world or all over the United States. Who knows, the women that we're going to bring in that have influence and we all can learn from. So those are kind of my whys. How about you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everything you're saying is what Wired is about, right? When I joined Wired a few years ago, I was kind of in this pivotal point where the brokerage was up and running. It was doing pretty well. I like residential, but I've always been kind of felt called to either the commercial side or the development side, and I couldn't quite figure out where my next move was. I had dipped my toe in as a commercial agent, and kudos to all of my Wired friends. It is so different than what we do every day. Like, it's the same license, but it's a different thing. And so I didn't think that was quite it. But also, I'm so fortunate because I know all these Wired women that are all awesome commercial agents in the Kansas City area. So if I ever need somebody, I have a plethora of options to partner with and refer out to, which is great. So just through some trainings and going to Wired and things, I really realized I want to be a developer, right? I want to build more housing, so small multifamily, basically, on infill lots. And I really wanted to do it in my community. And I wouldn't have realized that path had it not been talking to the leaders and some of the women that were in there, and then also some trainings that I got connected to through it. Every time I would go there, I would leave feeling energized and empowered, and really it helped me to embrace that development was the direction I wanted to go. Instead of just feeling like, what do I do next? I don't know. I know I want to do something, but I don't know what. It really helped me to kind of figure it out and own it. And that embracing ownership and embracing your own power is kind of what Wired is about, right? And you and I just naturally, we connect with women, we highlight women, we just partner with women when we can. It's preferred. It just for so many reasons. And I think that being in a group that can help you, like my mentors, the women in there became my mentors before they even knew it, and then my mentors become my friends, and then my friends are now, it's just crazy, the connections. And so looking at what Wired has done for me and also the buying the building. So I acquired a building, my office building, in 2023 after going to Wired for about a year and hearing other people say more women should own, the 51% mentality that Cheryl Vickers always talks about is that women should own 51%. We are 51% of the population. We should own 51% of the commercial real estate in the world. And I agree with that so much. And we are so far from that number. It's getting better, but we talk about it all the time, which is also where Wired comes from, is just stemming to get closer to that goal. And so going there for a year, again, I know I want to be a developer. I know I want to focus on my own community, like all those things. It really empowered me to go buy a building instead of leasing from, I was leasing from women, fortunately. I was very lucky to have the landlords that I did, but I wanted that equity. I wanted that ownership. And through Wired, through the connections, I was able to connect with a female lender who I love, local lender. She does commercial SBA loans. She helped me to really find out the best route for me and made it happen. And so my real estate brokerage now is housed in the commercial space that I purchased. And I've also since then gotten in on several other commercial investments, and I'm redeveloping, I'm flipping houses, and I'm looking to build infill development, small multifamily in my own community, it's been the goal. And so to know what I wanted to do and actually see it laid out and see other women doing it and learning from their projects and learning from their mistakes and kind of seeing their path and them looking at me and saying, why aren't you doing it? And it's like, I want to, and it just has really gotten me to where I am. And so looking at my wired connections, looking at now I'm on the board, now I'm a podcast chair, obviously trying to relaunch this podcast the right way. And then you and I talk and you're like, I want to have a podcast too. And I'm like, everything you're about and everything that you're saying literally is in line with what this podcast is. And so I just feel really fortunate that you're willing to jump on and do this. And I'm really excited for all the guests we're going to have and all of the conversations we're going to get into and just highlighting women, right? Mm-hmm. And raising them up and showcasing what they offer and what they bring to the table because, it's what keeps the world going.
And I think it's important too, listening to you kind of talk about your why and how Wired brought you where you are today and the influence that those women had in your life. It makes me realize, as women, I think especially, we often think that we have to, I don't want to say know it all, but you do like, oh, I need to educate myself and I can't do that until I know how to do this. And I can't make that step until we think we have to have everything in line instead of what Wired has offered you. And now that I'm a part of it also, just being able to go in and be like, okay, I don't have to know all of these things. There are other women that this is their specialty. This is their strength. And I can say, hey, I don't know anything about this form. Will you hold my hand and walk me through it? I may never be phenomenal at that, but I will know it enough because you walked me through it. And so I think just us knowing that you don't have to know it all to do it. You don't have to know all the details of owning commercial real estate or doing all those things. You just have to know people that know it. And they love to share what they know. And that's their way to give back.
Absolutely. So we meet up twice a month, right? Mm-hmm. We do the first Friday coffees and then the monthly happy hours, which are more, less happy hour networking, more about education or really highlighting someone's development project that they've done. But you're right. In the coffees, we literally just had one yesterday morning that we were both at. And you just hear, we're all sharing what we're working on, what we're going through. But then you just hear the other women pick them up and say, hey, don't say that. Say, you are this, own it, embrace it. Or, hey, I know so-and-so that I saw you give a name out to 2 different people you're like, hey, you mentioned you need this. I know this woman who does this, and it's just about the connections and the really just knowing that you have other people around you supporting you and believing in you so that you can start believing in yourself. One of my favorite things that kind of ever happened in Wired, I guess, is I kept saying, I want to be a developer. I want to be an investor. And like 3 people around me were like, don't you own your building? Don't you flip houses? Like you already are. And it's like, you need to stop saying that you want to do these things and realize that you're doing it, and just own that. And so now I introduce myself. If I'm in a public setting or whatever, I not only say I'm a broker owner and I own my brokerage, but I am a developer. I am an investor. I am the things that I wanted to do. And before I joined this group of women, like I could have never owned that proudly and publicly, I don't think.
Well, now I know where you got it. Yeah. Because every time you see me and you would try to get me to go, you'd be like, you own commercial real estate? And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I kind of do.
Yeah. You are everything that it's about. Women in real estate development. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is so fun. And I'm really, really looking forward to, like I said, all the conversations and episodes that are coming. We have a lot of events coming up that we're going to plug, and it's really good. So anything else that you want to wrap up with?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just super excited. I'm excited about the connection and just being able to feature women that influence all over the place. There's just, I don't know, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Definitely.
Thanks for partnering with me.
Yeah, I'm glad you were willing to do it, honestly.
Thanks for listening to Wired, where Kansas City's ideas come to life.
We hope you left with something today that you find useful, something you can act on, share, or carry forward. And catch us next time. Our next episode will feature Melissa Martin. She's hosting us at our next Wired event on August 20th from 4 to 6. It's going to be at the Westside Lounge, her event space. You'll hear more about that. And we're showcasing women doing multi-million-dollar development projects right now.
Subscribe to the show so you don't miss what's next.
Yeah, because if this conversation matters to you, chances are it matters to someone else too.
See you next time.
Right here on Wired.